Hey, happy Monday. Happy Motivational Monday. This is Joe Rosso from Built for the Stage, Broadway's #1 fitness platform. If you haven't been following along with us here on the Playbill channel, every Monday we have a special called Motivation Monday where we bring on a guest from the theater community to motivate you, to talk about theater, to talk about maybe what's been going on during this pandemic. Yeah, just covering all the bases. We also have something called Fit Friday every Friday where we give out fitness tips for you all to just benefit from. So if you're interested in Built for the Stage and what we're truly all about, you can go to the website builtforthestage.com. Okay, as always, we have a special guest for you today. Her name is Kayla Peccioni. She was recently seen in the national tour of the Book of Mormon. She hopped off the tour and went to the Signature Theater to play the role of Maggie in a chorus line. Then she was actually slated to make her debut in Summer, the Donna Summer musical, on a national tour. And that's kind of when the pandemic hit. So we're going to chat about a few of those things. So please welcome Kayla Peccioni.
Hi.
Hi, Kayla. Welcome to our virtual world here. How are you?
Gosh. Thank you so much. I'm doing great.
It's so good to see you, to see anyone nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about, this is a fitness esque special here. You've been doing a lot of walking lately, and you actually just had a pretty big event go on this past weekend. Let's just kick it off, you talking a little bit about your fitness endeavors recently.
For sure. I am walking crazy, and I just always have to preface it by saying it's not your general walk around the park. I am like a mall walker, power walker, get those calories burnt. So at the top of pandemic, I was back home in Kentucky, and just to kind of put some routine in my life, I'm just used to working so much. So working out is usually something that I do in an off season. And since quarantine became off season, I was like, I need some kind of routine. So when I was home, I started doing 3 to 5 miles every couple of days, every few days, just to get myself moving. And then as soon as I got back to the city is just so walkable. I now do 8 miles every time I'm out. So it comes to about 20 miles a week, 24 miles a week. And then I was lucky enough to transition that into the work that I do with the Susan G. Komen Foundation.
Tell us a little bit about that. We love to hear about people helping others. So we all need that nowadays. So please, tell us a little bit about your work there.
Totally. So the Susan G. Komen Foundation is the biggest breast cancer awareness foundation you can that we know. And I've been working with them for the last 2 years, but they've been involved in my life since I was 11 because my grandmother passed from breast cancer, and I used to attend all of their Race for the Cures every year. And they're just these really fun events where people come together and celebrate, either those who are going through that journey with breast cancer or to commemorate or do an in memoriam of people who have passed. So I was lucky enough last year that they, out of the blue, just reached out to me and asked me to be an ambassador for them. And so I've been raising money for them, raising awareness for them. And then this year, because everything had to be virtual, I've just been doing my own kind of virtual fundraising. And I started my own challenge called the Journey to 130, which they have a journey to 30, which was just getting us up to this 30-year anniversary for them. But I created my own challenge called the Journey to 130, where along the way, I made sure to walk at least 15 miles a week so that I could eventually, by the time we got to race weekend, have 130 miles under my belt. And I came in at 200.
Wow. Okay. Overachiever. You hit it and then kept on going. What have you seen during your walks in the city? Anything stick out to you where maybe something funny, maybe something beautiful or heartbreaking?
Totally. I mean, it's so funny with the way that I walk. I mean, it's pretty much a jog. I do 13-minute miles, and I just think it's like, as a pedestrian in New York, there's so much traffic already, and I hate it. I hate this part about myself, but I literally like push people off the sidewalk. Like I'm just going so fast. I'm like, out of my way. And in this pandemic, it's kind of necessary because I'm like, please don't touch me. I'm just trying to get through. But it's been something to navigate, just like because back home in Kentucky, I had endless space to walk as fast as I needed to. Now here, it's just a little more cramped.
Yeah. If you haven't, you need to YouTube the actual like sport of power walking. It's actually
heard about this.
Yeah, it's intense, and there's like very legit rules and logistics of what is a power walk and what crosses the line into jogging. So.
For sure. I've missed a calling somewhere. I guess if theater doesn't make its beautiful return, then I have a job somewhere else.
Right. Well, let's get into that a little bit. So I mentioned in introing you that you were on the national tour of the Book of Mormon for a year and a half, 2 years, somewhere around there. Wow. I came across one of your posts on Instagram. Y'all can follow Kayla Peccioni with 2 C's, 1 N. You could check out the description of this for her name to check that out. But your dad, when I guess the show was maybe going through your hometown, or there's a write-up about you that he went to a gas station and bought like all the newspapers with your picture on it. That just made me so like, warm inside, dad being proud of his little daughter.
Yeah, it was so crazy. So at the time that my tour, I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, and at the time that the tour went through there, I'd already been with them for a little over a year. And so it was a big deal when I came home, and I couldn't believe it. Like I had a lot of interviews, which is typical, when you're leading a tour or whatever. But then like the front of our local newspaper did this entire, like, they put the headshot on like both sides of the paper. Like, it was just the biggest thing you'd ever seen. And so my dad went and bought up like 50 of the newspapers from every gas station around us. And it was the sweetest thing in the world. He's such like a tough football guy, and he has this really soft like dance dad heart that we love to see come through.
And now you're framed on the mantle with your newspaper clipping there.
I am, right, with my little playbill right underneath it.
Super cute. So from the tour, you pit stopped at the Signature Theater I'd mentioned in the intro, and then something kind of unfortunate and unique to the pandemic happened where you're going to make a debut in the national tour of summer. You're rehearsing for it. Tell us a little bit about that and what happened this year.
Yeah, man, it was wild. It was so crazy. So I guess right after I did Chorus Line, I came back to the city and had a few months to kind of put my life together. And I was auditioning like at a rate that I never had before. I've just been very lucky to kind of like get a job and keep moving. And so I got back and kind of hit like that slump, and I was auditioning like crazy. And then right before the pandemic hit, I'd say about a month before, I'd booked like 5 jobs. It was very strange, very wild. And they were all really cool. And I ended up going with summer. And so I started rehearsals for summer immediately. And then as I'm in rehearsals for summer, I get about a weekend. I've learned the whole show. I was going to go and immediately replace. So I'd learned the whole show in a week. I was supposed to leave 2 days later, and we came in for those last couple days of rehearsal, and they immediately sent us home. And when I came home, I looked around my apartment, and it had been packed because I made the decision to give it up. And I was really, really close to just like moving everything up to tour, and then it got taken. And then, like a week after that, I was supposed to debut. So it was very, very, very close. And very cool. But, a month or so after that, we heard that the tour was closing. So unfortunately, it's something I don't think I'll ever get to do again, but I have the knowledge, so I can rehearse it all in my room.
Yeah. I'd love to have you on our podcast someday, Built for the Stage podcast, because we love just talking about the ups and downs and the journey of a career in theater, and how so closely it relates to a pursuit of fitness, where it's never guaranteed from day to day. It's, you know, it's always rented. It's never owned. And speaking of podcasts, though, during the pandemic, you have started a podcast called You Good Sis Podcast, right?
You good, sis?
You
Yeah,
good, sis?
I did. Me and my roommate, well, I was back home in Kentucky. Luckily got to keep my place. And my roommate is so sweet. She kept calling me and she was like, I have this idea for this podcast. And she's like, I don't know. And she's a talker. She is a talker. And she's like, I don't know. I was just hoping you could help me out because, you know, I'm pretty good with social media. I'm pretty good on Instagram. So everyone assumes I'm good at everything else. So she's just like, can you kind of help me out with this? And I said, you know, I'm not doing anything at all. You want a co-host? And then from that day forward, we just created You Good Sis. And so we have about 10 episodes out now. We film it right here in our apartment. It's really like I would say it's more of a wellness type of girlfriend type show, even though everyone is definitely allowed to listen. But we cover current events. We talk about them from like a wellness perspective. And we just have like a really good time. We have girlfriend chats.
Wellness, like specifically like mental health or just like social interaction, like what specifically?
Definitely mental health focused. We are very both my parents are therapists. I have always wanted to be some sort of therapist, whether that be, you know, for children or for, I find that I have a better social connection with people around my age. So I just love like having these conversations with my friends on a daily basis anyway. I'm always like checking in on my friends and giving advice here and there. And so yeah, we focus a lot on like self-care, which I don't really love that term. I think it's overused now, but it's more like self-care, how to take care of yourself. We have a segment called We're Not Therapists, but that is where we just give like our insight to people who write in or topics that we've come up with that week and just say like, here's where we are with this. Because we just find that we are two people who are growing at a very rapid pace and we have a lot of information to share, so we love sharing it.
Over these past 6 months or so of the pandemic, what's one or a few beneficial or the most like impactful pieces of advice that you've either given or received about mental health? We're at Built for the Stage with our clients. We're definitely huge on this and the connection of body, mind, spirit, and now more than ever, mental health. It always is very important, but like if you're gonna have trouble with mental health, now's the time that you're gonna have trouble with it because of what's going on. So yeah, if you could share like anything that you've come across these past 6 months that have really been helpful to you or your listeners on your podcast.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. It's very, very important, especially in this time. I'm lucky that I think everyone should have a therapist, even if you're in a place where you feel like you shouldn't. I'm like, I think you should, just to get an outside opinion, because sometimes we think we have all the answers, and there are answers that we just don't even think about, you know, and I think it's good to have that other opinion. But I was lucky to come into this with a therapist. So that's one thing that I would say. But then something else that I've learned over time is that especially in this pandemic, it is very hard to show up for the little things. You know, it's hard to show up for an interview like this, you know, when you feel like theater is so far removed. It's hard for us to show up every single week to record this podcast, but getting some kind of structure, some kind of accountability for yourself, I think is definitely necessary. So that's why we created You Good Sis, because at the top of the show, every single week, we ask each other, are you good? And the answer has to be honest. You know, it's like sometimes we both show up. A lot of the time we show up and we're like, we're good, we're here. But for me personally, especially over this pandemic, a lot of the time my answer has been like, nah, I'm not really okay. But here's how we're going to continue. And I just think it's important to ask yourself that question and be honest with yourself. That's the first step.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. And also the trend going around now, which it's true and important, is like, you know, make sure you're listening to yourself, make sure you're not pushing through and just grinding yourself down to nothing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, during this pandemic, as it keeps going on, I think people need to just be mindful or careful of like really slipping into that dark place, because you've given yourself so much grace and room that there are those times where, you know, you need to, like you said, just show up with your friend for your interview, or do something like this where, you know, you're not great, but you might be greater than what you started, just because you just said, hey, let me just brush myself off a little bit today and get to work a little bit.
Totally. And it's tricky, right? Like, it's so tricky to show up for these kinds of things and not grind yourself into the ground. I think it's definitely important to rest and listen to those cues that your body gives you. But I mean, at a time like this, we're all going through the same thing. We're all experiencing a collective trauma. And I think it's more important. The biggest lesson that I've learned so far, or the thing that I've watched transform in me, it's not even something I think I've been conscious of, is prior to this, I was definitely one of those people who was like, well, if I'm not working, I don't know who I am, right? And I think what has become more important or more clear now than ever before has been like the value of my friendships, the value of having these family members and what they mean to me, and when I need to reach out to those people, because I spent so much of my life away from my family, away from my close friends, that I'm kind of used to that pattern. And I was like, no, now I have the time. Now I'm going to figure out the importance that these people mean to me. And that even meant cutting some people out, you know, saving my energy in certain areas. But my like value for my friends, my family members is increased exponentially. It's just like your priorities shift in a time like this.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot with our clients right now, about giving gratitude and being grateful for the people or things you have more time for or whatnot. But at the same token, which I'm so glad that you said, was like, now you also have the time to realize what you don't have anymore and what you should keep it that way. Once you get back to life, like you realize like, oh, there's a couple of things or people that I was slipping into a certain rhythm with that actually wasn't that great for me.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Hobbies have been great. Like picking up new things.
Yeah. All right, let's transition for everyone watching out there, either right now live or later on. We're going to show Kayla and y'all watching some plank variations, a little combo that I want to show you that you can try now or later. So we're going to do this nice little at-home shift of our cameras.
Yeah, I'll transition.
Don't mind us. This is hashtag 2020. This is what it's all about.
Oh, yeah.
My dogs are outside, so there's no barking going on, but there
might be some construction for me, but luckily they've stayed quiet for the most part. There we go.
Shift this over here. All right, got this nice little screen. Thanks, Roberto. Shout out to Roberto at Playville for transitioning our screens. Thank you.
I'm glad I cleaned my room today.
Okay. All right. So everyone out there watching, we all know a simple high plank. We all know a simple low plank. Okay. Those are two variations. When we're doing the high plank, you want to make sure you can have your fingertips slightly pointed out to help with external rotation of the shoulder. We want those hands stacked right under our shoulders, with our hips in alignment with our shoulders. And think about tucking your pelvis, your hip bones underneath you. That's going to activate your lower half, your core especially, okay? Same deal in our low plank with our forearms. You want to have your shoulders stacked over top of your elbows, and then those hips in alignment with our shoulders. Okay, we can take a break there. So those are our two basic variations. Now, I'm going to show you three different little things I'd like for us to transition through while hitting those positions. All right, so first thing we're going to do, Kayla, we're going to be in this low plank.
All right.
And from the low plank, we're going to lift up one leg for a glute raise and squeeze that one glute on the one side down, and then we're going to squeeze on the other. Okay? You can drop down to your knees, take a break there. So we're going to go glute raise and glute raise. Little plank choreography today. After the glute raise and glute raise, we're then going to tuck one knee towards our stomach and then the other knee. And it's going to be basically a mountain climber, but it's going to be from the low plank position, which is a nice little spicy twist. Your hips they'll have to come up a little bit as you bring the knee forward. That's okay if the hips come up a bit. Go ahead and try that out, the low plank mountain climber. I'll take a look here. So we're in that forearm. Yep. Knee comes forward. Boom. And then the other. Nice. Cool. And she already added in that glute raise too. Awesome. Okay, good. You can relax there. All right. So the last variation that we're going to put into this combination, it's really tough. I'm going to start from my knees because it's that difficult. It's a low plank push-up. So we're actually in a low plank. I'm doing it from my knees right now. You're going to place your palms down, and then from there, you're going to press the bottoms of your palms into the floor and just try to keep your elbows tucked in as you press yourself up.
Whoa, okay.
Into a push-up, okay? Try it from your knees first. See what it feels like.
Woo.
Keep those elbows tucked in as you press up. Yeah. Okay, good. Nice. I'm gonna try from my feet and just show you how difficult it is. It's challenging.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you get
Yes. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Okay, great. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go low plank, and then we're gonna go glute raise down, mountain climber. Then we're gonna go push up, okay? And then that's gonna be our combo. Let's try it out, okay? So we're in our low plank, and we're gonna go glute raise, mountain climber, palms down, push up, and push up, back down. Do it one more time. Glute raise, mountain climber, push up, elbows tucked in, push up. Woo! Okay, Kayla.
Yes.
That is all the torture I'm going to push you through as far as that goes. I just wanted to show you that combo and everybody else out there. So if you're watching, give that a go. I would suggest, depending on difficulty, go until you're at like a 7 or 8 of relative exertion, and then stop there, take a 30-second break, and then see if you can repeat those exact repetitions for another 3 to 5 sets. Comment below. Let us know what you think. Kayla, thank you so much for joining us on.
Of course, this is so fun. I loved it.
Yes, make sure you follow Kayla on Instagram at Kayla Peccioni. Make sure you check out her podcast, You Good Sis podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm Joe Roscoe from Built for the Stage. Thank you, Kayla. Thank you, Playbill. Everyone have a great week out there. We'll see you later.
Bye.